everyone to the 6th Young Americas Forum. I'm looking forward to the next 2 days of programming and discussions. I will have more to say in a bit, but I want to first welcome and introduce a very special guest to our forum. It is my privilege to introduce and welcome Mr. Doug M. Hough. As the husband to the Vice President Kamala Harris, Mr. M. Hough is now serving as American First Second Gentleman. He's a devoted father, an experienced lawyer, and a very proud husband. As a second gentleman, he has been devoting his time to advancing justice, equality, and human rights. Please join me in welcoming Second Gentleman Doug M. Hough.
Good morning, everybody. And welcome to my hometown of Los Angeles. Woo! It is so good to be home. Cecilia, thank you for that very kind introduction. And thank you for the work that you've been doing to encourage youth leadership and entrepreneurship. It's very important. And before I begin, I want to acknowledge the other speakers that will be joining you today. I just met with them. Deputy Mayor Hatchigan, as someone like myself who's lived in Los Angeles for so many years and worked here, I know how important it is for Los Angeles to be connected to the entire world. So thanks for all you do. Assistant Secretary General Mendez, it was great to meet you as well. And thanks for all you're doing to promote entrepreneurship and leadership for young people in the Americas. I'd also like to thank Luis Nino, Roy Thomason, who I met, and the entire team at the Young Americas Business Trust for making this event possible and for all the years of incredible work and dedication to fostering development. And I'm also honored to be here this morning to kick off this year's Young Americas Forum. Thank you. And I know a lot of you have traveled a great distance to come to my hometown, so welcome. Thank you for making the journey and for being all together. And I also want to welcome you on behalf of President Joe Biden, who's arriving here in Los Angeles today, my wife, Vice President Kamala Harris, who's been here throughout the week at the summit. The First Lady is coming, our entire administration. Thank you. Thank you for all you do and for making it a priority to travel to Los Angeles for this important event. And I'm also here this morning because I wanted to personally come here and welcome you to this city that I call home, this city that I raised a family in, this city that I built a career in, this city that I love, Los Angeles, California. Welcome. Now, as you spend time here, I think you're going to come to realize what I already know, that Los Angeles is such a vibrant city. It's such a dynamic city. It's such an amazing city, and I think you're going to find that as well. And Los Angeles, as I know, is a city full of dreamers. It's a city full of bold, creative people who are unafraid to think big about what's possible for their future, not only their own future, but the future of our entire world. So much of that starts here in Los Angeles. People of Los Angeles, they come from diverse backgrounds from all over the world. They also represent diverse perspectives, which is what makes this city so incredible. We've got ideas from everybody. And that's one of the reasons that Los Angeles is a perfect location for this year's Summit of the Americas. Now, while I'm here today as America's first second gentleman, better not be the last, I married well, but I'm also here as the father of two young adults. Now, when they kept saying young America's Forum and youth, I said, well, what's the age range? Well, I have two children that are, one is 27 and one is 23. So I'm a dad of young adults, roughly the same age a lot of you are. So I really understand what they're going through as they're coming up into the business world, into their communities. So I get it. And it's impossible for me not to look around this crowd and to think about this next generation. We were just talking about it in the hold, and thinking about Cole and Ella Emhoff and about what they're going through, which is the same things that you're all thinking about. And I think about the kind of world that I want to leave behind, that this administration wants to leave behind for not only my kids, hopefully grandkids one day, and for all of you. And what do I want to leave them? I want to leave them a world that values things like protecting our environment for the future. I want to leave them a world that everyone's fundamental rights are honored and protected. And I want to leave them a world where everyone is respected and appreciated, regardless of who they are, where they're from, what they look like, who they love, and how they worship. That's the kind of world that I want to leave for them, and I know you agree with me on that. I also want to leave a world where economic prosperity is shared, and a world where more young entrepreneurs like yourselves are supported so that you can all flourish and innovate, because that's what this world is going to need in the future. And I know, and we all know, these last few years have been especially difficult. We've had a global pandemic that we're just coming out of. We're seeing the devastating impacts of war in Europe and other places. As I mentioned, we're seeing the effects of climate change right before our very eyes. And I know these realities that I've mentioned and many others can be scary. They can feel overwhelming. And I know sometimes the road ahead might just feel daunting. However, I am optimistic. I am always optimistic, and I'm optimistic because of people like you, the future. Young people like you who are stepping up, traveling to Los Angeles to help your own communities. Young people like you who are doing good work to make our world and your own communities better. Young people like you who are bold enough to imagine a better future and determined enough to make that future a reality. So standing in this room and looking at you, this group, it just gives me hope. And I know the conversations that you're going to have over the next couple of days are going to pave the way for your own future, if not the future of our world. Some of the things that you're going to do can literally change the world one day, and that's very exciting. So I hope you make the most of every minute while you're here. Make time to get to know each other. That's important. Look around this room. Some of you 20, 30 years from now are going to remember this moment when this relationship started as you're working together, changing the world together. So discuss these hopes that you have now. Discuss the goals that you have. Brainstorm about projects that are going to change the world. Don't wait. Do it now. Use this time to shape ideas. Use this time to take action. Because I know sometimes an idea might seem like it's going to take forever to come to fruition, and sometimes it feels heavy to have this idea in your head and not quite knowing what to do with it. Look around, talk about it. You never know what's going to happen. So, we have some big challenges to tackle ahead, but I believe, as the President believes, the Vice President believes, that when you share the weight with others, it becomes a challenge that you all and we all can solve together. So thank you for the warm welcome. Thanks for allowing me to say hi to you this morning at the beginning of your summit. Thank you all for speaking out and being leaders and speaking out for what's important. And thank you in advance, because I know 10, 20, 30 years from now, you're going to change the world. So thank you in advance for that. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce Ambassador Nina Hatchigan, who serves as the Deputy Mayor of International Affairs for my city, the city of Los Angeles. Previously, the ambassador served as the second U.S. ambassador to the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, and now she is charged with expanding and strengthening Los Angeles' global ties. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Ambassador Hatchigan, and thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
What an honor to follow the first second gentleman, a trailblazer in his own right. Thank you so much, Mr. Emhoff. And thanks to the Young America's Business Trust, Luis, Valerie, and Cecilia, and the whole team, Nino also, for organizing this fantastic sixth summit of young people. So you have a streak going, I think, number 6. The Young America's Forum wouldn't be possible without the support of the OAS, so thank you very much to Secretary General Mendez. And lastly, I want to recognize our local partners who've contributed to this week's program. Special thanks to the LA Rams and Maria Camacho. I heard you had a nice tour yesterday. On behalf of Mayor Garcetti and the whole city of Los Angeles, a warm welcome to you. Bienvenidos, bienvenido, bienvenue to you, all you friends. Welcome to LA, this imperfect paradise, as Mayor Garcetti likes to call it. It's gorgeous, fascinating, diverse, creative, complicated, flawed city of multitudes. We could not be more honored and are excited to host the Summit of the Americas. And while I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome the heads of state and the ambassadors and the ministers and the NGOs and the CEOs, the group I was most excited to talk with was you. The young people, the future leaders of the Americas. Los Angeles has never hosted a large diplomatic summit before. We host the Oscars and the Super Bowl and Paralympics and actually Olympic Games twice, and then we're going to host the Olympics and the Paralympics in 2028, so I hope you all come back for that. So we aren't new to major events, but never something like this. So when you do something you've never done before, when you're not really sure what's involved, you get that sense that maybe you've bitten off a little bit more than you can chew. That's when you learn the most, I've found. So LA is learning a lot. Thank you very much. I always advise young people, especially young women, to take calculated risks in their careers. When I have taken those leaps, I've had the best experiences. And one of those has been my current job as the first deputy mayor for international affairs for the city of Los Angeles. I'm actually the only one, I think, in the United States for a big city. The rest of the Americas are actually farther along than we are here in the United States on what we call subnational diplomacy. So that is diplomacy that is below the state nation level. So I didn't know what I was getting myself into. It was a brand new job. I didn't really how I was going to get it done, but I have learned a lot and I have loved it very much. And one important lesson that I've learned is that tangible progress is always possible. Small programs can scale up to be very big change. So my main message to you this morning is that positive change is possible. Young leaders like you can catalyze it. These days, with the wars and the turmoil and the poverty and the violence and the climate crisis and the political divisiveness, strident nationalism, the rollback of democracy, it can be hard to have hope that things will improve. But I have lived through and witnessed many instances of undeniable progress in my life. Progress is never finished, it's never over. The fight to keep and expand gains made is ever present, but nonetheless, there has been progress. So let's take gender equity. When I grew up, I never heard women's voices on the radio or on the news. I never saw them on TV. There was no woman who ran for president who could have actually won, or who did win, some would say. There were no women cabinet secretaries, no ministers, no foreign minister, for sure, no women Supreme Court justices, no female CEOs that I knew about, no women scientists that I ever learned about, no women pilots, no women doctors, etc. And you get the picture. All of that has changed in the United States in 50 years. So 50 years might seem like a long time, but take it from me, it can be over like that. The struggle is not over, of course. There are many threats to women's autonomy that remain, some very serious, that could be coming down the pike. Glass ceilings are still plentiful. The LGBTQ+ community remains marginalized in many ways. Women of color are still paid less, have worse health care, and fewer opportunities. But still, there has been progress for you to build upon. Another example is climate change. This is an area we know the world is not doing enough. It's absolutely true. But one person, one mayor of this big, messy, imperfect city, working in coalition, dramatically changed our carbon trajectory. Since he took office in 2013, the share of Los Angeles's electricity coming from renewable sources has more than doubled to now 43%. Today, over 60% of the energy that powers our grid is zero carbon, on track to be 100% by 2035. The mayor, thank you. The mayor has reduced the city's reliance on dirty energy sources from completely divesting from coal power by 2025 to building out the largest EV charging network of any city in the country, 18,000 chargers so far. Mayor Garcetti has also led LA to pursue its own local water supply, and we had a really good conversation with the president of Chile yesterday about this. So we use less water now in our city of 4 million people than we did in the 1980s when we were 3 million people. We're the #1 solar city in the United States, and most of us, we have the most number of energy efficient buildings in the United States. And in the process, we've created tens of thousands of good green jobs. The work is not nearly over, but the leadership of one person has changed the future of this city. And why is that important? Because when other cities see what Los Angeles can do, they think they can do it too, and they can. They're given confidence. And in fact, something you might not know, but at the COP climate conference in Glasgow last year, the Mayor Garcetti brought to the conference the pledge of 1,049 cities, including many in the Americas, that they will all reduce their carbon emissions in half by 2030 and net zero by 2050. Now, of course, that's still not enough, but it does represent real progress that, again, you can build upon. And I'll give you a final example of education. We have great universities in California, but they are unaffordable to a large segment of our society. So the mayor, with many partners, started a program to offer 1 year of community college for free to graduates of our local public high schools. Later, we made it a full 2 years. Later, we added free transportation to school. Later, we added laptops and funds for books. And now the state has adopted it. So now in all of California, high school students can get 2 free years of community college. And then when my office came along, we started a program to send these students on free trips. And by the end of the summer, we will have run 11 trips to 10 different places and sent around 200 students. That's not a huge number, but a profound experience for those students. And again, we will build upon it so that 10 years from now, perhaps we will have sent 2,000 students. This matters because For those who go to a 4-year university, their debt is cut in half, and they can get to quickly building businesses and civil society groups like many of you are doing. So I spoke about gender equity, climate change, and education. This change that I'm describing was only possible because generations of people before us had worked on them. The suffragettes who crusaded for women's voting power and the abolitionists who abolished slavery, the scientists who studied the atmosphere, the educators who pointed out the inequities, they all had to do their part before my generation could do ours. And now it's your turn. Although there were key leaders, nothing profound can anyone do alone. Change always requires lots and lots of partners. So I'll leave you advice to do whatever is on your agenda. Don't skip out on your agenda, but spend as much time getting to know each other as you can. I agree with the second gentleman on that, including the Angelenos, of course. Angelenos are amazing. They come from everywhere, but particularly from this hemisphere. We are by far the largest Latino, Hispanic, and largest Spanish-speaking city in the United States. We no doubt have residents that can trace their roots to each of your countries, sometimes the most of anywhere in the world. In LA, we say, everyone belongs. So again, welcome. I wish you the very best. Don't forget to have some fun. Try to get out of this part of the city if you can and see some of the other parts. There's a lot out there. Amid all the work and the speeches like this one, go out there and make some progress. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our guest speakers. For the opening panel, please join me in welcoming Nestor Mendez, Cecilia Vilchis, Luis Niño, and Roy Thomason. Please take the seat. We're pleased to welcome to the podium for his remarks, Nestor Mendez, Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States.
Good morning, muy buenos días a todas y todos. This is actually one of my favorite events of all the summits of the Americas, and I have been to quite a number of them. It's always fantastic to see all of you, that energy, that enthusiasm, those ideas that I can practically see popping up from your heads. It's a good thing. Distinguished gentlemen of the United States, Mr. Doug Emhoff, distinguished invited guests, generous sponsors and partners of YABT and the Young Americas Forum, Luis Niño, President of YABT, and of course, Roy Thomason, the founder, the one who started it all of YABT. Give a hand to Mr. Roy Thomason, please. Yeah. Distinguished board members and coordinating team, impressive young leaders, entrepreneurs, innovators, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to join the Young Americas Business Trust in welcoming you to today's ceremony. But I am even more thrilled to share this space replete with the energy and dynamism of youthful potential that must catalyze change, effect solutions, generate inspiration, and most importantly, produce results. I am energized by the sheer recognition of what can be achieved when the minds of young, ambitious, visionary avant-gardes and creatives are challenged to not simply rise to the level of the highest expectations, but to supersede them and then to keep realizing new goals. Today is a good day to recognize and to celebrate the inspirational vitality of you, our young minds. Based on the overwhelming evidence of its success in creating, supporting, and advancing opportunities for the expansion of enterprise and leadership in the Americas, the Young Americas Business Trust was tasked with shouldering the responsibility of coordinating the 6th Young Americas Forum as one of 3 official stakeholder forums of the 9th Summit of the Americas. I am pleased to note that once again, the YABT has proven its value as a momentum builder and as a multiplier of networks and platforms on which young people can launch workable ideas from concept into reality and build out common sense innovations that receive the guidance of experts and success story makers to respond to society's felt needs. When dreams are transformed into income-generating business ideas that bear fruit well into the future, everybody wins. Through its policy labs, the transfer of business skills and enterprise, through exposure to and mentorship by world-renowned innovative and corporate leaders who walked your path, YABT is here to further stimulate your growth, deepen your interests and entrepreneurship ideals, and reward your winning entries in its famous competitions that unearth and promote your creative genius. Distinguished friends, dear guests, the OAS is proud of its long-standing partnership with YABT, the basis of which is a mutually held interest in advancing a progressive youth agenda, one that prioritizes the generation of opportunities that underpin growth and development of the young people of the hemisphere, and fosters a path to innovation and creativity, leadership, civic participation, self-awareness, and an appreciation of your potential to be fully participatory across all spheres of endeavor. The work of YABT must be constant, since supporting innovation among young people must keep up with the pace of the challenges that constantly bombard our world. Our hemisphere cannot be left behind. So we must find the means to honor our commitment to achieve the gains that come with innovation and the generation of new ideas. The OAS pledges its ongoing support to the work of YABT, and for my own part, my own promotion and advancement of its offerings are a constant feature of my engagement with political leaders and high authorities across the Americas. I am a committed partner in the quest to keep opening doors for inspiring and supporting youth innovation, and my office will continue to work with YABT through OAS offices across the Americas in support of these laudable objectives. You can keep counting on me. We can certainly do more with the expansion of robust partnerships that can build on the progress already achieved. I speak particularly to the potential of our international financial institutions and development corporations that individually and collectively embody the resources that can make a significant difference to the reach of YABT programs, including by leveraging their data, expertise, and broad partnership and sponsorship potential. Imagine a combined force, YABT, the OAS, the World Bank, and global development corporations working to unearth, stimulate, and support youth innovation to the benefit of hemispheric economies, large economies, small economies, and all-color economies that we now have, the blue, the green, and the orange. I join with YABT in its outreach because I am convinced of the good that can come of such a pooling of goodwill and vision, and I invite the partnership of other hemispheric and global agencies which are desirous of investing in young difference makers. To be very clear, there is no downside to investing in our youth. A future in which the minds of the young people in the Americas are challenged, encouraged, and given the tools to exemplify excellence through innovation, is one in which all of society stands to reap rewards, experience the fruits of increased employment, greater productivity, and the resurgence of ideas to heal, to empower, and to respond to threats and impediments to progress. I reiterate the call to action and partnership to the region's corporate citizens, to international financial organizations, to development corporations, to like-minded political and strategically positioned organizations to join forces with YABT. Our hemisphere and the people who are at the core of our mandates to effect change depend on the substantive results that will shape our hemisphere. While the world has undoubtedly faced its share of challenges over the last few decades, nothing in recent memory compares to the combined onslaught of environmental degradation and attendant existential threats, the ravages of climate change, and the global pandemic that has impacted lives, livelihoods, and the future as we perceive it. For a brief moment, we may have feared the worst, may have wondered, will we be able ever to recover? Then again, nothing compares to the windows of opportunity which the lessons learned from these challenges have opened to the minds and the creative genius that can conceptualize and innovate for solutions even to problems no one could have imagined just 5 years ago. Our young people are our key to new ideas, to bold solutions, innovative responses, since as long as every problem has a solution, we can depend on their minds to find it. As we move forward to a time when the post-pandemic era will require new thinking, novel approaches, and comprehensive and multi-pronged overhauls, all hands must be on deck. Young innovators, investors, funding agencies, here is your chance to make that difference. Youth innovation can indeed change the world. Moreover, the OAS recognizes that fostering and supporting innovation underpins the sustainability of economic growth and prosperity, since the emergence of new ideas creates avenues for the generation of solutions that require new products, services, and avenues that inspire add-ons. This often requires the use of technology, which also opens new windows for thinking outside the box, to add value to existing ideas or products, to make them adaptive, to bring about changes or contribute to improvements in society. I exhort you, young leaders, innovators, and entrepreneurs, to go boldly and bravely as you respond to your own quest to build and create and resolve. The future is as much yours today as is the very day, today, when you determine never to deviate from the path to excellence. This hemisphere is depending on you to realize, to blaze new trails that will cement the Americas as a flourishing fount of ideas that can respond to our challenges and pave new pathways for economic and development. You are the generation that can. The tools of awareness, technology, and can-do are in your hands. I've never failed to be impressed by your innovations, and I know that I will continue to be blown away by your outpouring of creativity in this year, 2022. I congratulate you all for your participation in the 9th Summit of the Americas here in Los Angeles. I am convinced that on this path you are destined to do great things for this hemisphere, and that in such awe of your acumen, leadership, and innovation, all of us look boldly to what, and with much expectation, to what you will be doing. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Remember, we are counting on you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Mendez. We are pleased to welcome, join me with a big aplauso in Spanish, Cecilia Vilchis, Youth Coordinator of the Young Americas Forum.
A very special greeting to each of the people who preside over this important ceremony and who have already been introduced before. It is a great pleasure to extend a warm welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for being here today. I wish you success participation and that you take advantage of all of the opportunities of the 6th Young Americas Forum. Quisiera comenzar por contarles un poco sobre mí. Mi nombre es Cecilia Vilchis, soy mexicana, la más pequeña de 13 hijos. En el 2014 ingresé a la Universidad Autónoma del Estado de México. Al venir de una zona rural, las oportunidades para ser admitida eran limitadas, aunque gracias a la dedicación y esfuerzos fue posible iniciar la carrera universitaria. Durante mis estudios, fui beneficiaria como estudiante sobresaliente para hacer un intercambio estudiantil en la Universidad de Łódź, Polonia. Un año más tarde, el Estado de México me otorgó una beca completa para hacer estancias académicas en Washington, D.C. con el The Washington Center, desde el cual conocí al YBT y comencé a trabajar en el Foro de Jóvenes de las Américas siendo practicante. En el Foro de las Américas he encontrado la oportunidad y herramientas para apoyar a más jóvenes que, como yo, aspiran a seguir creciendo profesionalmente y cambiar la vida no solamente de los suyos, sino también de otras personas que necesitan de nosotros para encontrar el camino anhelado. He crecido y he visto crecer al programa con más de 27,000 jóvenes participantes en el periodo 2019-2022, la cifra más alta desde su creación en el año 2005. Con el foro he visto impacto directo en las juventudes. A través de alianzas internacionales se apoya el liderazgo juvenil y el emprendimiento. En el 2020 tuve la oportunidad de coordinar el Reto Innovaction, un programa de apoyo a emprendimientos sociales desarrollado en colaboración con la Fundación Interamericana y la Secretaría de Cumbres de las Américas. Una iniciativa que surgió frente a la pandemia y que lleva una respuesta a las necesidades que la juventud misma elevó a través del Foro de Jóvenes de las Américas. El día de hoy vemos a juventudes líderes que luchan por temas diversos como derechos humanos, igualdad de género, jóvenes que apoyan grupos vulnerables, es decir, una diversidad de causas. Por ello, programas como el Foro de Jóvenes de las Américas nos permiten tener una visión global de distintos asuntos de desarrollo que competen a la juventud. Enfrentarse a estas realidades, ser resiliente y buscar oportunidades para visibilizar y perseguir un mejor futuro propio y para las personas cercanas, su familia y comunidad. Les invito a continuar luchando por su causa, su pensamiento, en unir esfuerzos con redes y personas con las cuales podemos generar un cambio positivo. El día de hoy y durante todo el programa vemos permanentemente un intercambio multicultural que me lleva a decir lo siguiente. El hecho de ser regiones o países diferentes no significa que seamos diferentes, sino que tenemos aspiraciones en común y realidades comunes. Me siento muy orgullosa del trabajo, compromiso y la respuesta que la juventud ha tenido con el programa. Como dice el eslogan de YBT, de jóvenes para jóvenes. Dear Youth Delegates, you will have the chance to work together and discuss the Youth Declaration and Action Plan. Remember the great responsibility and commitment that each of us has. Cada uno de ustedes aquí presente es una persona promotora de su país, con una causa en común, representando los intereses de la juventud. El Foro de Jóvenes de las Américas representa un mecanismo y proceso que muchas veces no encontramos directamente en nuestras comunidades locales para expresarnos y ser escuchados. He aprendido que la perseverancia, la fortaleza y el trabajo continuo hacen el cambio, por más difícil que parezca. Hace más de 3 años iniciaba conociendo el proceso. El día de hoy les puedo decir que al adentrarme al programa, observo lo importante que es tener un diálogo directo con la juventud. Finalizo diciéndoles, tengamos siempre un sueño que perseguir, un sueño y un legado, teniendo nuestras raíces como motivación para seguir luchando por todo lo que anhelamos. Muchas gracias.
Muchísimas gracias, Cecilia, por tus hermosas palabras, muy inspiradoras. Por favor, acompáñenme a dar la bienvenida al señor Luis Niño, presidente de la Junta Directiva del Young America's Business Trust.
Good morning, everyone. Muy buenos días a todos. Gracias por estar acá. Quisiera agradecer en primer lugar al Second Gentleman por sus palabras introductorias, desde luego a la embajadora Deputy Mayor Nina Hutchinson por también haber presentado su visión de lo que es el foro. A mi amigo personal de muchos años, embajador Néstor Méndez, secretario general adjunto de la Organización de Estados Americanos, nuestra querida Cecilia, quien acaba de pronunciarnos unas palabras, y a nuestro también muy querido amigo Roy Thompson, quien ya recibió un aplauso, pero a él le encanta recibir aplausos, así que vamos a darle otros. Es un honor estar hoy con ustedes y tener a cargo estas palabras de apertura en mi calidad de presidente de la Junta Directiva del YIBT. Quisiera empezar con mis más sinceras muestras de gratitud para todas las personas que han confirmado su participación, como bien lo señalaba el embajador Méndez, han expresado el convencimiento que tienen de este foro de jóvenes. Yo quiero enfatizar que este foro de jóvenes no es un foro más dentro del marco de la cumbre, es parte integral de los foros oficiales de la Cumbre de las Américas. Así que para nosotros vamos a darnos un aplauso por ese reconocimiento oficial. Hoy, desde luego, es un día muy importante para la juventud. Iniciamos oficialmente este foro y este es el lugar que tiene la juventud para contribuir, colaborar en la construcción de un continente próspero y con un futuro sostenible. El foro de jóvenes no sería posible, desde luego, sin cada uno de sus aportes. El compromiso de la Organización de Estados Americanos, desde luego, es un catalizador importante. El compromiso de los Estados miembros de la organización que coadyuvan a la búsqueda de ir fortaleciendo cada vez más nuestros programas. La participación de los actores privados, de los mecanismos internacionales de financiación, como también lo señalaba a Néstor Méndez, el embajador Méndez. Perdona que le diga tanto a Néstor Méndez, pero es que lo conozco hace tantos años que se me escapa el formalismo. Los organismos financieros internacionales y en particular el sector privado. ¿Por qué? Porque precisamente son los motores de desarrollo de la sociedad y con el impulso de los jóvenes y esa interacción que queremos y estamos buscando siempre a nivel de este foro, en esta su sexta versión, es que el foro sirva simplemente de un catalizador que nos proyecte hacia adelante, que los compromisos que asuma el sector privado en este foro se mantengan y generen en el mediano y corto plazo efectos importantes, que tengan un impacto en cada una de las comunidades que se desarrollen los proyectos. Cecilia es un caso vivo y palpable de lo que estoy señalando. El ejemplo de ella es hermoso. Y hay muchos. Aquí está el caso de la Huascanita. Ahí van a haber muchísimos casos bien destacados y que, a mi juicio, pues representan ese papel que tiene el foro de jóvenes. Y por todo ello nos sentimos muy entusiastas de esta nueva versión del Foro de Jóvenes de las Américas. Esta es nuestra oportunidad de alinearnos con lo que está pasando en nuestros países y lo que está pasando en el resto del mundo. Esta ocasión, esta apertura está siendo vista a nivel de todo el hemisferio y nuestro mensaje debe ser muy contundente, debe ser muy firme en el sentido del compromiso que debemos adoptar acá, pero no pensando en el hoy y en el mañana. Pensemos en el mediano y en el largo plazo para beneficio no solamente de los jóvenes o, en mi caso particular, que yo siempre me digo que yo soy una especie de arma secreta dentro del Foro de Jóvenes, porque soy el único niño que participa en este tipo de reuniones. Una de las tareas importantes que tenemos que mostrar es cuál es nuestra interacción con la realidad que la novena cumbre está celebrando. Quienes hemos tenido la suerte de estar en esas negociaciones de manera muy cercana, sabemos lo difícil que pueda o no ser el alcanzar un consenso, un texto de acuerdo en una declaración final. Yo no he querido ni preguntar cuál es el estatus de la declaración, pero lo que sí estoy seguro es que tenemos unos grandes aliados en grandes países que nos están apoyando y que reflejarán en esa declaración el espíritu que hoy inauguramos con este sexto Foro de Jóvenes de las Américas. Quisiera, por último, hacer un reconocimiento muy especial al equipo de YIBT, ese que está tras de la cortina y que ustedes no ven y que ponen todo su esfuerzo y todo su empeño en que este evento surja y avance de la manera más fluida. Muchas gracias a todos ellos, nuestro reconocimiento. Asimismo, quisiera hacer un reconocimiento a los miembros de la Junta Directiva del YIBT, quienes han dado todo el apoyo y han aportado una visión estratégica a la organización. Y hoy contamos con la suerte de tener a 3 representantes de ellos, Ambassador Terry Truss, Glenn Sloan, and Ambassador Henry Martin. Por favor, join me with a big applause for that. Thank you. Y a ustedes, mis queridos jóvenes, mi mensaje final: no desistan en sus sueños. Sigan convencidos, sigan adelante. Ustedes son nuestro presente y nuestro futuro. Muchísimas gracias y bienvenidos.
Thank you, Mr. Niño. We have this morning with us a very special guest, a person whose vision made all this possible. He is my mentor. We are very happy to have him with us. Please join me in welcoming Roy Thomason, founder of the Young Americas Business Trust.
Thank you all so much. Good morning. I think my first words probably was wow. What an exciting time to finally arrive at the 6th Young Americas Forum. This is a platform that YBT created for young people to participate in the Summit of the Americas process. I also add my personal thanks to our distinguished guests here this morning and this week. We sincerely thank them for taking the time to be with us, and I also have to thank especially our guest here, Ambassador Mendez, who is with us from the first day, his first day on the job, and his pledge to still be with us. Cecilia, whose tireless efforts have made this possible as youth coordinator. Luis Nino, who was one of the first people we talked to way back in the beginning about the idea of YBT, and he's always been supportive. If there's ever a time and a place to say mil gracias, 1,000 thanks, this is it. There are at least 1,000 people we should thank for being here today. The list is too long to recognize everyone who should be thanked in my few minutes. But we know who you are, and we will never forget your contributions. We are hugely grateful also to our host in this extraordinary inter-American city, Los Angeles, who's worked with YBT to make us feel so welcome. We're also deeply indebted to the strong support of the organizers of the Summit of the Americas, particularly the U.S. State Department and the Office of the OAS Summit of the Americas Secretariat. And we acknowledge that each delegate made a special effort to be here or to connect via the internet. For all of us, today begins an adventure in talking, thinking, and doing. To all the delegates, this is an opportunity to make sure that the hemisphere's leaders hear your ideas and your vision for your future. This is your chance to speak up for yourselves on the vital issues that directly affect your lives for the next 50 years. As inheritors of our planet and societies, you have a very real stake in the summit outcomes. You are here to do your part for both today's world and tomorrow's. You can make this summit matter, and you can continue these conversations after the summit to make sure that they move from words to action. As part of my remarks, I've also been asked to briefly tell the story of YBT and the vision that got us here. I decided to give you two versions. I'll give you the short version first. This story is only 4 words. They're easy to remember. If you don't remember anything else I say or anything else said this week, I hope you remember these 4 words, because they sum it all up of the how and the why of YBT. And these 4 words are, do what you dream. Do what you dream. The longer vision began for me at age 14 in 1961, when the President John F. Kennedy launched the Peace Corps. And that sparked an idea that lit up my interest in learning about the world and cultures, and inspired thousands of young people in the U.S. to put peace into action in the spirit of international cooperation and mutual respect. And like many of you, from an early age, I have always wanted to be an inventor. And I've always been fortunate to work in organizations and with people who encouraged innovation and new ideas. At the OAS, this led to the creation of YBT, following priorities for the OAS that were set by the member states and previous summits of the Americas, to create a strategy to create meaningful employment opportunities for young people. For more than 30 years, the OAS has encouraged young people to be entrepreneurs, both in business and in their communities. In this, we've always recognized that young people, young entrepreneurs are also young leaders and superstars. YBT has always been about believing in young people and each person's potential to make a positive difference. Added together across the nations of the Americas, your dreams and work are a tremendous force for good that benefits everyone's future. The success of YBT has always been the work of young people themselves, their supporters, enabling young people to develop and run these initiatives. There's always been, Cecilia said, by young people and for young people. With this spirit of entrepreneurship, YBT became more of a movement than an organization, a catalyst more than just another program. And you inspire other young people. Today we're in the magic box, and it seems like magic that we're here. But I can tell you it took a lot more magic to get here. As a result of the enthusiastic commitment and dedicated teamwork of YBT staff like Luis Figueroa, Valerie Lorena, Edgar Maestre, Cecilia Vilnius, the YBT Board of Directors, along with YBT sponsors and partners who provided the necessary financial resources. A few highlights from the 25 years of YBT's steadfast work. We've conducted more than 600 hands-on business labs organized in cooperation with Israel. More than 30,000 TIC Americas teams have offered innovative projects and talented young entrepreneurs. 6,000 teams have participated in Echo Challenge, made possible by the continuing generous support of PepsiCo. It's amazing what YBT can do with partnership with corporate sponsorships. 5 editions of this forum have taken place in previous summits of the Americas: 2005 in Argentina, 2009 in Trinidad and Tobago, 2012 in Colombia, 2015 in Panama, and 2018 in Peru. Now we add 2022 in Los Angeles with sponsors like Platzi, Shopify, and YouTube. And that is how we got here. But the story today is not about my story or YBT's, it is about your story and your future. This is about hearing your visions and what you are doing and what you dream for yourself, your family, your community, and your country. It's about making that dream come true in the future that works for all. And that is why we're here. If you look around, we clearly see how today's world needs you, desperately and urgently, more than ever before. It needs your talent and your energy. We daily see the story of many young people in crisis around the world. Their realities are too often about hunger, poverty, violence, war, grief, and an uncertain future. These young people may have only dreams and only hope to get by. But they too have potential, and they are an essential and for in a peaceful and prosperous world. It is up to you here to make something happen for them too. Please remember that you don't just represent yourself, but you also represent all the young people of the Americas. You here are the lucky ones. Just by being here, you are fortunate to have the opportunities and organizations available to help you achieve these dreams. But this will not happen by just dreaming. It takes doing. The first of the 4 words is do what you dream. These ideas, discussions, and commitments will give you a roadmap. But to be more than just talk, this must be matched with action, a commitment of resources, both technical and financial. Your active involvement is fundamental to positive solutions that we need and in finding those resources. In the 13th edition of the ECHO Challenge competition, we again see excellent initiatives that are more than just ideas. These inventive projects prove that the next generation is not just dreaming about saving the planet, you're already doing something about it. Part of this means that it's also up to you to invent, or at least contribute to, a new business model. You show that it's possible to create enterprises that are socially sustainable, responsible, and inclusive. Your initiatives embody the theme of the Summit of the Americas, of sustainability, resilience, and equitable. The presence of the young people at this summit has grown stronger with each one. The 9th summit now includes young people as one of the 3 principal pillars and stakeholders of the collaborators. It acknowledges the importance of including you, the next generations, as partners. Remember that the Summit of the Americas is not just this week. Its work continues every day to follow up. I encourage you to use that opportunity to keep the momentum going forward by continuing to work at home with these leaders and organizations, and to keep advocating for resources. I hope that when you go home, you will share your experience here with them. You are now part of YBT's network, and connecting with each other will keep this momentum moving forward. And today's technology makes that easy to keep in touch. All of you here inspire me. You will also inspire the hemisphere's leaders to action more than you realize. Most important, you will inspire other young people. I look forward to the results of your discussions and conversations, and to see your declaration of commitment and action, and to hear about how you use this opportunity to put these goals into action. Don't forget, your dreams and work will encourage others to have dreams. You will show what is possible that can happen when you do what you dream. Thank you for all you've done and for all you do. Thank you.